right to start with. Is that pretty good? Okay. I'm Mike Cole, and first of all, another thank you to Dixie for letting me be part of John's night here at the river. I don't think there could ever be a better way of remembering and feeling the presence of a poet than to come together and share his or her poems. Since Dixie asked me to be part of this tribute to John, I've been thinking a lot about him and about what he and Dixie have meant to the Fresno community of poets and artists. In thinking about the kind of person John was, to me at least, the words tough, smart, and compassionate came to mind. And all of those qualities blended with a strong dose of humor. And he had an especially low tolerance for bullshit. Every time my path crossed with John's, I remember feeling so comfortable and comforted by his presence. Hanging out with him in his and Dixie's lovely backyard on ground, going out for a lesson in eating sushi with John and Dixie. In my visits with John in the last few years, he enjoyed chiding me when I bemoaned the rigors of high school teaching and telling me how much he enjoyed substitute high school teaching after he retired from his mental health work, saying how easy teaching seemed. And I imagine it was pretty mellow compared to John's very difficult night shift work in a facility for troubled youth. So much of our backgrounds was parallel, too. Growing up in Fresno, graduating from Roosevelt High School a couple years apart, his telling me that he knew my older sister and my brother-in-law from his Roosevelt days, and that he grew up in a neighborhood along Tulare Street not far from my childhood home on Iowa and Barton. So cool to know we were connected in those ways, as well as through our mutual friends in the Fresno poetry family. An example of John's compassion and loyalty was his long commitment to our friend Omar Salinas, no matter what struggles Omar was having, and they were many. I remember going with John and Chris Buckley to a breakfast John arranged with Omar out in Sanger, and in more recent years comparing notes with John about our visits to Omar in the convalescent hospital where Omar passed away. How John sometimes gathered up Omar's oxygen bottle and wheelchair and took Omar out for a meal. That's the kind of friend John was. I'm especially pleased that Dixie chose John's remembrance of another mutual friend of ours, Chuck Moulton, for me to read tonight. I remember John telling me about sitting on his front porch with Chuck as Chuck held forth with his mind-bending stories and rapid-fire off-kilter aphorisms. And there is quite a bit of that in the poem I'm going to read. I think Chuck always knew he had a place to land and be listened to at John and Dixie's. So here's John's tribute to Chuck Moulton. Two Worlds, for C.W. Moulton, 1936 to 1995. The Java Cafe has run out of espresso, and Gloria has put off her last 2 therapy sessions. A line of Harleys outside a fruit stand below Pacheco Pass all backfire simultaneously and for the last time before their riders splinter off under sheets of exhaust, trusting the sore-shouldered valley wind to carry them. The sunflower root slips deeper into the muddied clay earth, and the shedding sycamore strains to catch up to you. The dove hunters of Exeter have boxed their 22s for good, and I want to stay up all night and wait for the moon to creep inside my skull and to feel a sudden shift of stars as you snarl and roll or past them. I want you to tell me again that my head is not a bowling ball, and how you now dream the dream of cornerless rooms, and how 100 dark roses woke up in the sun-drenched garden of your chin, and how your teeth now dazzle with the sharpness that could crunch down a small planet in seconds. I want the morning to throw nails of light into my eyes so I can team up with the crippled boy at the bus stop, point you out of a crowd, hear the raspy elegance of your voice telling me not to listen too closely to the sad breeze that runs through abandoned barns or to willows on ditch banks covered with fly shit and lime, moaning in disbelief at how you can now growl through 2 worlds at once.